Alright, what's up y'all, LakerFan here. As you can see by the title of today's video, we're here to ask, is the 6'9" the new meta lockdown build in NBA 2K23 for Comp Pro-Am? So, I asked this about 2 months ago, and it's because this was our original lineup. We ran two 6'9s, the 3 and the 4 for Pro-Am. But that's not what every team did. Most of the teams are running 6'7" pure locks all year, 6'6" pure locks sometimes too. But the lack of the height and the versatility at that build really glares through, if you ask me. And with this Pluck Steal update about a month ago, I'm seeing more and more people convert over to the double power forwards, quote unquote, the double 6'9s, coming out here as the lockdown position as well. So we're gonna get into this build in particular. It's the one that IQ runs sort of to a T. It's gonna have a little bit more block rating than the other build that we've showcased and a little bit less offensive rebound. What we can do, we can convert this over to like 93 block in the gold anchor, and I'll showcase a different way to make the build potentially that has maybe just more vertical, more offensive rebound, because the thing is too, if you line up with this at the lockdown and the power forward, it means the point guard has to guard one of them. So the more offensive rebound you put on it, the more lethal it can be as an offensive rebound crasher, off the fact that a 6'1" no D point guard, or likely at least no rebounding, is going to have to deal with this build right here, defending in the corner. Now, there are other reasons included of being 6'9" that makes it even harder for a point guard to guard you. Other than just being taller, we have things like close shot and standing dunk that will shine through even more, not to mention the badge tiering as well. The badge tiering goes hard, man. So I hope you guys enjoy the video. If you do, for drop a like, sub if you're new to noties, all good stuff. And like always, try to want 2,000 likes. So 6'9", 201 in the weight, 7'7" wingspan, defined body shape. This is going to have a freakish amount of badge points that are really going to give like small guards problems, to be honest. So we have things from Fearless Finisher, Masher, Limitless Takeoff, Fast Twitch, all on gold, Silver Posterizer, and Silver Slithery as well. But for once in my videos, finally, we have a build that's actually going to benefit off running a core badge in each category. So for the finishing badge category, obviously we want that Fast Twitch on gold. That's going to be 7 badge points for free. After that, we're going to want Posterizer and a combination of things between Limitless Takeoff and Slithery. We probably still want Fearless Finisher primarily over Masher, but if we can eventually get Masher, that would be kind of convenient. Not to mention, if you were just of the thought of a point guard has to guard you, and you know for a fact point guards are going to be guarding you with this position, then you could hypothetically not run Fast Switch, because at the end of the day, it's not about how quick you can get it up, it's just how easy you can make the shot on the small guard. So Fearless Finisher and Masher combined could be really nasty, paired with still running Limitless Takeoff, Slithery, and Poster. So if you wanted to core Poster instead, and then run all of these as well, that would be also fire. But yeah, to cover some bases real quick, we'll just go from top to bottom. As you can see, 17 shooting badge points. It's just enough to run catch and shoot as the core as well. You don't got to put any extra on or anything like that. Ideally, you could core catch and shoot and then run blinders as well, but if you don't want to core catch and shoot and it's easier for you to just core green machine, because that's how it's going to be for a lot of you guys, then it makes sense to just core green machine, run catch and shoot, no blinders, and you'll have things between, like, let's say for instance Claymore, clutch shooter, stuff like that. Now I would say the majority of the community still believes corner specialist does not work. I wish 2K Labs would potentially retest this, because obviously they ran a test about 4 or 5 months ago, but that is 4 or 5 months ago. I will say though, the rest of the community that you would just ask really just still believes corner specialist doesn't work. I would say about 80 to 90% of the people that I talk to, and I would say the only other 10% is just comments that are saying that I should try it again. But to be fair, I don't really know. Now, obviously, you still have badge points left over. You could easily run corner specialist instead of something like clutch shooter or something like that for the extra badge points. But nonetheless, as far as the shooting badge core goes, you're either going to core green machine or core catch and shoot. If you core catch and shoot, boom, there's blinders for you. Simple as that. Or even Deadeye, low-key. People are kind of waking up to Deadeye a little bit. As far as the playmaking goes, very bare bones. I mean, it's literally just going to be gold break starter, bronze bailout, and then silver needle threader. If you can core this one, it'd be ideal. I will say needle threader is actually pretty easy to do if you plan like Hall of Fame My Career as well. You kind of just throw passes like between throwing alley-oops and stuff like that, or just the generic ways of getting playmaking badges, to be honest. But anyway, like I said, it'd probably just be something along the lines of break starter, floor general, bailout, needle threader. One of those 4 badges, and then obviously core badge, one of them. And then for the defense, now this is where we're going to have a pretty deep conversation as far as like what we should have, what we shouldn't have. The Model 1 that I'm going to showcase right here is with the 99 block Hall of Fame anchor. Now, to be honest with you, this is a little bit overkill. I think the ideal way to make the build may actually just be 93 block rating, because then as you can see, you can really juice up that offensive rebound all the way to 84. You could put your interior defense also to around 84 if we just make a couple slight tweaks here and there. It'll give you the extra badge point, and then boom, now you're looking at a defensive loadout of 84, 88, 90, 93 with 84 offensive rebound, keeping in mind that point guards have to guard you, and then 94 defensive rebound for Hall of Fame box out beast, gold rebound chaser. This is a really nasty loadout. This is pretty much the same exact way that IQ has the build, with very minor tweaks here and there otherwise. What I do really like about this version of the build though is that it can play power forward and lock. I mean, in general, the 93 block rating build with the gold anchor can still absolutely play power forward on the back end as well. Now, if you maybe wanted to do something with this, because I'm not going to drop a video on the #1 power forward build, it's going to be the one that we do skip out on, because I believe this build should just be playing the 3 and the 4. And like I said, the modifications you can make on it can be a little bit in-depth as well. So use your brain on this a little bit. So if you make your build a power forward, yet your teammate makes it a small forward, so I'm just being hypothetical, and let's say you wanted to make your build like this but be at the 4 with it. Well, you don't need offensive rebounding quite as much if centers are going to be guarding you, because again, keep in mind that centers and point guards usually guard the corners. So between you and another 6'9" build, you're both going to be spotting up in the corner. One of you is going to have a guard on you, one of you is going to have a center on you. So keep in mind that whoever has a center on them maybe needs offense a little bit less, or offensive rebounding a little bit less, because you're not going to compete with a 7'2" center when it comes to rebound crashing. Simple, right? And for this, I'm speaking of offensive rebounding. Obviously, for defensive rebounding, that's the whole purpose. You want to compete with centers for the rebounding. You want to have 94 D-board, Hall of Fame box out beast, gold rebound chaser, and the point is to still be able to box out the big and maybe help your center drop in for the rebound as well. But as far as the offensive rebounding goes, if you have centers on you, it's not quite as important, and I think having things like block on 99 could be even more valuable. So if you plan to play the 4 with it, I would think this is a better way to create it. And again, the positional manipulation to it, if you have 2 of them, if you make one at small forward, one at power forward, you're likely going to end up in a situation where the centers just guard the power forward one by default, and the point guards guard the small forward one by default. And they won't know until the game's over that one has higher offensive rebound rating, the other has higher block rating. So that's pretty much my take on it. Or if you would like, you could both just make it with 93 block and 84 offensive rebound. And this stuff does go crazy, man. Trust and believe, that is definitely a fact. And again, you could probably ideally go for the 84 interior defense, and that would give you that 31 defensive badge points. And the interior D being high just in general on a build like this at 6'9" would be pretty convenient. I understand the anchor is getting dropped from Hall of Fame to gold, and obviously if you plan to run Hall of Fame pogo too, that then goes away as well. I'm not a big believer in the pogo stick, to be honest with you. I'm not a big fan of the idea of running it in Pro-Am after this interior defense update, where you really just need to play hands-up defense anymore, and people will not make mashing shots over top of you. It's about as simple as that. So I do like this one more personally, off the fact that they both contribute in the offensive rebounding, and then at that point, even if they learn about your positional matchups, what are they going to do? Move a point guard to the wing? They don't do that. You literally can't afford to do that at all. So I love this defensive loadout. And again, let's come back to the concept real quick of what the plan would be for you to have 2 of these on the court with. You can play perfect size defense with this. If you want to play left-right, you can do that. If you want to play fight-through defense, where you have the guy on the front side of the screen fight through the screen, and then boom, if he gets bodied, now the backside steps up fully. And then if the ball defender gets bodied, then it's as simple as boom, just switch back to the big. Or you can still even rotate as well. We're not even talking about rotations yet. And what me and IQ do is really fire with this, where you can do things like triangle and stack. I'm sure a lot of you guys who are watching this are familiar with that. If you're not, triangle means the side that has no wing spot up. So essentially, if the point guard is working on the right side of the court, that likely means triangle is the right side, because their wing spot up is going to be on the left. So wherever their wing spot up is the stack side. Wherever their wing spot up is not is the triangle side. Long story short, you can run multiple different rotations with both of you being the rotator, and you can afford to be able to do that because you're not so pigeonholed into the idea of one guy is the lock, one guy is the power forward. You guys are both versatile with that, and now you can both function as a lock and a power forward at the same time. So both of you can rotate down to the big, both of you can rotate out to a corner, both of you can stay on ball. All types of things can work in many different ways, and this makes for versatile defense that is extremely tough for people to deal with on offense. And personally, I called this from the beginning of the year, but to be fair, when pluck steals are going crazy and 99 steel Hall of Fame glove is really ridiculous, it makes it so people really don't want to leave anything like that. Not to mention, we talk about this in the shooting guard build video, of the fact that people don't make 6'1s even though they're the better build. It's just the truth. People don't make these 6'9s at locks because they're too prideful. They want to be scouted by the 2K League and stuff like that. They want to be seen as running valid lineups, etc., etc. For me, I'm here to win. I'm here to try new schemes and do things that I think is going to win, and I love to actually be different on purpose, to be honest. And this fits that, if you ask me, extremely well. So if you guys want to run a different Pro-Am team other than how I do it, obviously I have that 6'9" inside build that I run with this like exact defensive loadout, except I obviously have like, you know, more finishing. I have no shooting at all. If you wanted to just be different than us and run it in a more valid or competitive way, ideally, you could still run the 7-2 inside big man or 7-2 popper big man, whatever the case may be, and run 2 of these anyway at the 3 and the 4. Difference is you can't afford to have a tonic on the court if you do something like that. The fact that I come out there with a no shooting build yet still provide the lockdown defense at the 3 makes it so we can afford to have a tonic at the 5, where I'm the inside center, undersized, but he's the outside post-up big man at the 5. You can't really afford to have a tonic if you run 2 builds like this at the 3 and the 4, but just keep in mind you can obviously then have a 99 offensive rebounding 7-2 at the 5, and that could be freakish stuff too, man, especially considering he's the dropper for you, and then at that point you have 2 of these versatile lockdown builds right here. So anyway, I'll go ahead and show the badge loadout on this one. Obviously this has more defensive badges, so just keep that in mind. The other one that we showcased has the Hall of Fame anchor though, which does go hard for the double defense core if you ever wanted to run that, but me personally, I think this build is just better off running all types of cores between 1 playmaking, 1 shooting, 1 defense, and then 1 finishing as well. And also, if you're seeing this for the first time, you may be wondering, what's the point of acceleration being so high? 79 is pretty ridiculous, is it not? Well, in my opinion, this actually makes you very viable as an offensive player between catch, run, dunk, catch, run, fade. All those things included, not to mention just the fact that you may be on the fast break a little bit as well. You have the dunk, you have the three-pointer to do it, so I really am of the belief that 79 acceleration is really, really good. And don't worry about the speed with ball and the ball handle being so low. Again, acceleration is all about literally just catch, run, fade, catch, run, dunk, or catch on the fast break and try and run in there as quick as possible without your speed with ball eventually mattering. But all of that included, I still think acceleration is really nice to have out the corner. It really allows you to be kind of the drag lock, so to say, as some people would call it. But anyway, what I also love about this concept, and we've talked about multiple times on my videos and stuff as far as what we do with these types of builds, but if you run 2 of them, exactly, what you can do is run perimeter badge drop primary on both of them and stuff blocks on the secondary. So whenever you end up with your lock take, whether you're the 4 or the 3 between these 2 builds, you can just pop your takeover, and then whoever has lock take between the 2 of you gets ball. Whoever doesn't have takeover active gets backside power forward. And at that point, then you're really, really cooking, bro. I really do wish, in a way, that we could try that lineup sometime. Maybe if I ever make like a 7-foot, like actual center, I could just play the 5, like a normal 5, and then I could run with 2 of these exact builds right here. I could throw tonic on my lock awaited account where I literally just grinded the exact same build as IQ. It's something we could potentially try, but I think what really speaks to the power of this is the fact that then you guys could both have the lock take, where I don't really do that personally. I really would prefer to run the slash take, and then whoever doesn't have the lock take, obviously, like I said, can end up on the backside with it. It's really fire. But if you wanted to see the other options as far as takeovers go, obviously Glass and Sharp are still there. I think it's a pretty obvious one, though, to run the perimeter badge drop primary with the stuff block secondary. Alright, so as for the badge loadouts, as you can see, this is the one that I was talking about where you potentially could just not run fast twitch, and then if you are missing that, as you can see, you're able to run all of the elite finishing badges between obviously Poster, Limitless, and Slithery. And this is what we're really talking about too, man. I really want to stress this point so you guys remember it for good, because obviously I've made a lot of build videos talking about the 6'9 locks over the 6'7 pure locks and stuff like that. But another thing that really shines through so obviously that we've talked about many different times is the fact that you get amazing badge tiering on these 6'9 builds right here between Limitless Takeoff and Slithery both being tier 1, tier 2. As opposed to a 6'7, you obviously would get them both in tier 3, and that's a problem, man. At that point, all they can ever afford to do is run Limitless Takeoff, and that's why it's so comfortable for no defense point guards to guard these pure locks, because all they have is Limitless Takeoff and then some bunk, horrible finishing badges, because they don't care about their close shot and standing dunk, so obviously they don't run things like Masher or Fearless Finisher or anything like that at a super high level, and then that just leads to point guards being able to guard them so much more comfortably. With this build right here at 6'9", you have Fearless Finisher and Masher, so at 6'9 with a 6'1 guarding you, that is really problematic. And then on top of that too, we still have Slithery, Limitless Takeoff, and Posterizer as well. So now your build's a problem on backdoors, catching it with a guard on you and just catch, run, dunk, because obviously you can dunk meter with this stuff too, or you can just catch bodies with your X button regardless with the pro contacts. You also can just backdoor and like, you know, just mash a guard, simple as that. So there's multiple different things you can do with this build, and it really does lead to versatile offense. That's what really makes our team in another sense. I know I see a lot of people talking about Tonic is the glue of the team, and I do agree with you. He definitely contributes in a huge, massive way. But keep in mind, also, IQ with the guards on him allows for us to really dominate those small PGs, and that's our 5th offensive option. If they could afford to just throw their point guard away on him and then never feel the consequences of putting that small guard in the corner, it would really suck. And again, to combine that with the fact that he can crash offensive rebounds too at a really elite level goes super hard as well. So all those things included, it really is a beautiful fifth like offensive option on the court, and it will be that. This will be your fourth and fifth worst offensive players. Like, I mean, they'll be the worst offensive players on the court, but the plan is if you have two of them and they're both your corners, they can both dominate a guard, and whoever doesn't have the guard on them can just stay put with a center on them. It's as simple as that. I mean, they can't afford to put a point guard on the wing. It's about as easy as that, bro. I'm telling you, like, people cannot put their 1 and their 2 in the pick and roll up top and then have like their 4 on the backside or something like that. I mean, what would they even do? That would mean that they're getting their lockdown out of the play as well. And if you plan to go with like the lockdown on the back end and put power forward in the corner and center in the corner, that's just some weird stuff. Nobody's ever going to do that. Essentially, you are always going to have some sort of guard on you, unless teams plan to run the double bigs, in which case, sure, I understand. Then that means it's countered a little bit, where you maybe run into 2 7-footers that are both guarding the corner, and then they have like a 6'9" in the back end, and they plan to maybe, I don't know, have their point guard with some defense or something like that. I don't know. I mean, it's really unrealistic to ever think of that. So again, the fearless plus masher equals really impossible for them to guard you. An 85 close shot is just ridiculous, bro. Combine that with 75 standing dunk and all the dunking ability, it really goes hard. As for the shooting, like I said, we're planning to maybe not core catch and shoot. It's really hard to get this, especially through my career. If you play some rec center, you could probably do it. And to be fair, I even did it with, 85 3-pointer on like gold catch and shoot as well. So it's possible. I did it twice for that matter too, because I even grinded that lock weighted account that has exactly these ratings right here between the no ball handle. Can't really do any hop backs. Obviously, you're just looking for like ways to move around off ball and catch and shoot. What I actually learned, you can hold B in the corner and they'll just eventually leave you open and you can call for it and catch and shoot. Then things like Claymore and stuff like that will activate as well. So it's possible. But if you didn't go with the catch and shoot core, this is likely what you're looking at. You'd probably just contribute to the Agent 3 after that, and maybe just run like clutch shooter on Hall of Fame and like, gold Claymore. Or if you wanted to maybe just run some volume, it's fine. Also, if you are really a big believer of corner specialist, we could end up doing something like this where you maybe just add one more shooting badge point, or you could do two. You could obviously just play for the catch and shoot core and then go with like blinders right there, boom, corner specialist right there. Now, we would need green machine as well, so I guess it's kind of up to you as far as what you want to do. Maybe 2 extra shooting or 1 extra shooting is just mandatory no matter what you do as far as you see it, but again, it's all up to you. But I just want to give you a couple different options as far as the shooting goes. Also, theoretically, we've talked about this in the point guard and shooting guard video so far, but 2K Labs has tested this and said the difference between bronze and gold is pretty insignificant on green machine, so if you wanted to just run something like this, boom, there you go. I mean, you're set as far as all the badges go. But again, I'm not exactly sure whether corner specialist even works, to be completely honest with you. I would definitely try it out for yourself and see what you think, because the testing is very minimal as far as this stuff goes recently. So just keep that in mind. So, as far as the playmaking goes, it's really not that big a deal. If you wanted a core bailout on bronze instead and just boom, not run dimer, then you have silver needle threader. Simple as that. It's really not hard to piece this stuff together. I would just advise, you want break starter, you want needle threader, you want bailout. After that, hyperdrive is nice. I guess it's probably the main badge I would advise to have. And other than that, bronze dimer, maybe silver floor general if you really don't care about either of them. But I will say, as far as defense goes, we bare minimum want at least 2 extra. It would get us the Hall of Fame box out beast, as you can see, but that means no workhorse. I'm a big believer in at least bronze workhorse, so I would like, personally, if I were making this build, to add 3 defense, and then you can maybe add like 1 shooting if you really, really wanted that green machine up. I don't think you need to add anything as far as the finishing or playmaking goes. So it's really all about defense and shooting at that point. And I think, personally, the more defense you add, the better. You could run Hall of Fame box out beast. You'd be able to run things like workhorse as well at a decent level. I don't think you really need pick dodger though. Sometimes me and IQ still play front back defense, even though we obviously have builds that can afford to play sides on everything. We could still switch though, even off the screen. So that's kind of the point. If you get bodied by the pick, it doesn't really matter that much, because then your backside's going to step up for you full, and then you switch back to the big. It's a very acquired taste on defense, I will say that much. Some people don't prefer to run like this, and some people may prefer to even just make this build right here and still play fight through defense and still be a front back. It is what it is. I totally understand however you want to go about it. Either way, I would probably advise go all in on defense for the extra badge points. I don't really care for the double defense core though, because obviously, like I said, it takes away the shooting entirely, and we don't want to do that personally. I would love to be able to run blinders or deadeye if I were personally making this build, and obviously it goes a long way to be able to core badge a tier 3 instead of core badging a tier 2. But anyway, that is pretty much all for the video. I just want to come back to this point right here to talk about this. So I really would advise you guys, if you know for a fact that you have a teammate that you're going to plan to play defensive duo with, and you want to be the small forward versus the power forward, you got to figure out which one you want to play the back end, which one you want to play the front end of the screens. So obviously like on ball versus backside defense, like the power forward. So whoever makes a small forward, it's going to be ideal because then you can line up at the 3 and then the other person can line up at the 4. If you both make a small forward, you're going to be really irritated with this when it comes to comp pro-am, and I wanted to make sure I explain this because you guys may run into it your own self, obviously, with your own experience. So if you both make a small forward, you're going to be position tied, and then it's like whoever goes into the arena first, where if you enter the pro-am arena to ready up for like the search, whoever goes in first is at the 3, whoever goes in last is the 4. And you're going to have this problem where your icons are going to be flipping constantly because you don't pay mind to that. So I would absolutely advise whoever plans to be the 3 with it, make a small forward. Whoever plans to be the 4 with it, make a power forward. And again, I also mentioned too, keep in mind, you could make the other version that I showcased, where if you go with that 99 block, lower offensive rebound, I would advise for you to be the power forward who does that. But anyway, do not sleep on this build as far as the perimeter defense level goes. 88 prim D and 82 speed is plenty fine. If anybody tells you they can't full court press with this thing, they're bad. It's as simple as that. I've done it all day, every day, for literally every time we've played Pro-Am against the most elite 6'1s in the game, and it's plenty possible to do so, man. You just have to understand that you cannot fully invest in the full court press. You can't go for bump steals constantly, do this, that, and the other. I would imagine you want to soft press. You want to pretty much just act like you're there, go for a couple random bumps if he ends up just walking right into you or something like that. But for the most part, you don't want to get too aggressive on the full court press defense. But 82 speed with the 88 prim D is plenty fine to soft press with, man. I promise you, I've done it myself constantly. And again, this build provides really great offense compared to the 6'7 pure locks as well. So this will probably be the last time I make the video talking about these 6'9 locks, but I do appreciate you guys sticking with me for all of them, and obviously I appreciate you maybe putting up with regurgitated information that we've talked about in multiple different videos. But anyway, appreciate you watching. Also, one thing I failed to mention because we've talked about it constantly is obviously the fact that you get the 90 steal for the gold interceptor. Both of you having that goes really hard because then you can both play lanes as well to the big man. Not to mention the silver clamps, gold challenger, it's all really good paired with the gold anchor. I mean, it's a really good build, man. So anyway, that's all video. If you made it to the end, put lock in the comments to show your sports made it through, or put PF for power forward if that's where you prefer to play with this as well. But anyway, that's all video. Hope you all enjoyed. And on that, take it easy, man. Peace.